Hey guys, welcome back to another video on my channel. Today we're back with another mod update, and this is MO Villagers. Now, the reason we are releasing this update, the mod finally reached 500,000 downloads. And to celebrate that, I've worked on a complete revamp of the mod. Now, there was quite a few issues in the past of the mod being quite overpowered and having a lot of negative effects on the vanilla gameplay. So, me and the people who help with these mods, I will have them in the description if you are interested, as they have helped so much. We revamped a lot of the trades and things like that. The first thing I want to cover is the trades book. This was added in the last update, and this book shows all the possible trades from the villager. And this was added just so you guys can see all possible trades without the need to go on to Minecraft Wiki or something like that. Now, the first thing we have changed about this book is you can now shift click it on any villager profession to set the book to that profession type. So as you can see, this one is currently set to farmer, and the default profession will be the farmer. But if I shift click it on this one, you can now see it's set to the florist. And upon opening the book, you can see it's changed a lot. I will have a picture on screen of what it looked like before. We have basically simplified it because the other version was very cluttered, and we've now made it look like a simplified version of the Villagers Trade GUI. And then you have the pages at the bottom here, so we can go to page 2 to see the second level. You can see then page 3, page 4, and page 5. And at the very top here, you can see the name of the villager and also the name of the level the trades are for, with then buttons at the bottom here to go back and forth between any of them. And I think this is just a way better way of doing it. The GUI is a lot cleaner, it's a lot easier to understand. Now, if I quickly just jump back to my test world for this, because I have a book here for every single villager profession. This does also work for the vanilla ones, not just custom ones that we have added. And it will also work for other mods that add custom villager professions. So this one right here is for the mason. And if I open this up, you can see the possible trades that the mason can have. Now, these buttons don't do anything. They are just as a visual. If I try clicking them, it won't achieve the trade or anything like that. But it's an easier way to see all possible trades without needing to go to Minecraft Wiki or without needing to use Google. So you can then see the cartographer, which if I quickly just cycle through. Now, there is one bug I'm aware of, and that is that maps don't show. For example, the cartographer journeyman is meant to have some map trades, and for some reason I've tried everything and they are not rendering. I will look into a fix for this in the future. And I'm not going to show all of these because they are all the same, just with the different trades. One other thing I do quickly want to mention is ones like this, where they trade different items, so the tipped arrow can be different. You can see it's slowly cycling through all the possible trades. And things that have, for example, like different prices, you can see the price is slowly randomizing between some of the options. This is also the same for the armor, so if I quickly just cycle here, you can see the pickaxes changing through some of the different enchantments you can get. So now we've covered the basics of the book. The book texture has also been updated just to match the vanilla style a bit more, being a lot less saturated. Now let's cover some of the changes. So if I quickly just pick all of these are the custom villager professions we have added within this mod. Now, before we jump to this, we did also update some of the textures because there were some issues with textures being in the wrong places, mainly on the zombified versions. But we have basically revamped all of the trades for 90% of the villagers. The archaeologist will now trade on level 1 some of the items you find from brushing suspicious blocks. Then trade 2, you can trade emeralds for some items. Then trade 3, you can get the sniffer egg for 24. You can also get 2 maps here. Once again, it's the same issue with a cartographer. The maps you can get, I think, lead to a desert temple, also trail ruins, and then you can also get one that leads to a ocean ruin. Then level 3, you can see it's emeralds for the different pottery shards. And then level 4 is a stack of emeralds, 7 diamonds for the armor trims. And once again, for the villagers, it will only roll 2 of each. So this book just shows every possible trade. But when the villager trades generate, it will pick 2 of these at random. Then we have the nether one, which we didn't really change too much about these. We basically just balanced out some of the prices and also amounts to make it better fit the Minecraft gameplay style. This is the same with the redstone one. We didn't really change too much about these. We just balanced out some of the prices and amounts of items you get. it. The florist we completely revamped. We made it so the first level is all the leaves that you can find. The second level is saplings. The third level is all the different flowers, and this is controlled by the tag. So if custom mods add new flowers, they instantly get added to this list. And then the fourth level is all the items that are found like grasses. And then the fifth level is things like crops. We then also have the Tide Master, which we did balance. The first level is just some different items. Second level is mainly themed around things you find. Third level is just the buckets of mobs. Fourth level is prismarine and sponges. And then the fifth level is coral blocks. Then we have the lumberjack. We made a lot of changes to lumberjacks because there were so many issues with them where you could basically trade like 6 doors for like a stack of emeralds. So the first trade for the lumberjack is just the logs and also the wood. Then level 2 is slabs and stairs, as well as hanging signs and signs. Then have level 3, which is fence gates, gates and boats, as well as chest boats. Level 4 is then buttons and pressure plates. Level 5 is then doors and trapdoors. And once again, these are all controlled by tags. If other mods you have installed add to the tags, then they will appear within these possible trades. And then the final one is the miner. And once again, we have made a lot of changes to this one. The first trade is related to stones. The second one is related to ores. The next one is also related to ores. The fourth one is related to easier to find things like Lush Cave. And then the final trade is the rarer things like Skulk, as well as a chance to get Budding Amethyst. So that is all of the new trades. And one other thing I do quickly want to mention, we have added configs. So if you don't like the look of the prices or the amounts of items you get from any of these, let's say for example you don't like how much stone is, you want this to be 1 emerald rather than 4, that is now something you can change. So opening the config file for the mod, we have the lumberjack trades, and you can change the log amount. So this is the number of logs you get. You can also change the price of the logs, and this is the same for every single trade for the lumberjack. You then have the same for the florist, so you can change the price of the item and also the amount of items. And this is the same for every single villager profession. So you can see we have the miner right here. If we keep scrolling, we have the engineer. We did also update some of the names, which I'll cover in a second. But yes, I think that's something that I'm very happy we finally got added, because changing values, although 90% of people won't care about that, it's good for if you have a server and you want something to be maybe a little bit cheaper or maybe a little bit more expensive. That is now something you can do without needing to change the code at all. Now the next thing, we updated some of the names for the villagers. And because we have done this, this might cause some issues in older worlds. If you have this mod in an older world, it could cause some issues when updating to this version. The villager profession names we updated was the engineer. Now this was called the redstone trader before. We was kind of switching between engineer and redstone trader. It is now called the engineer. We also renamed this one. This was underworld explorer before. It's now called emberist. And the archaeologist was called the ancient trader. We have now fully updated all these names in the code. And also their correct names will now appear on the books as well. So you can see their name by opening their trades or by shift clicking this book on them. Now let's cover the next part of configs. And that is because we have updated all the structures that you can find for the custom villager professions. And we have updated these to make them a little bit more unique, because before they were just the vanilla ones with some different designs like this one right here you can see. So this is the lumberjack house now. It still follows the vanilla rules of being basic, but it obviously is built for the lumberjack. We then have the engineer one right here, which has some random items within the chest. This is then the florist. And then we have the miners right here. And the houses are the same, just one up. This is all the ones for the desert biomes. Then if we head up one more, you can see these are the versions for the savanna biomes. Once again, the same, just with some items and blocks changed out to match that biome. We then have the snowy versions, which you can find right here, Once again, pretty much the same, just using different blocks. And then finally, last ones is the taiga biomes. Once again, the same, just with the blocks matching the biome. And all of these will now have a chance to spawn within that village type. Now, jumping back to the configs, you can now pick and choose what ones you do want to spawn and what ones you don't. For example, can Florist House spawn? By default, all of these are going to be true. You then have the Miner House, you then have the Lumberjack House, and you also have the Engineer's House. And you can also change the weight of them. Now, by default, they are all set to 4, but the Miner's House, which is set to 2. Setting it as, for example, 200 will make it spawn pretty much everywhere within a village. But we also added these just so if you want them to not spawn at all, you can disable them. But if you also want them to be maybe a little bit rarer or more common, that is now something you can also do. Now, the final thing I'm going to mention, and this is something some people will be happy about. The workstations for each villager you can see are below, but we have also added configs so you can change these. As there are some people who maybe, for example, want this one to be the crafter. Now, jumping back to the configs, this is in a different folder than the other ones. This is in a folder called MO Villagers-Startup. And the reason for this is because we obviously want to load this way earlier than the others. Now, there is a warning I have put within this, and that warning is definitely something you should take note of. And that is changing these values can result in errors with villager pathfinding. And it can also cause villagers to keep professions when their workstations are deleted or removed. So it is recommended that you change these before you start your world or server. And that is definitely something you should take note of. For example, at the beginning of this video, you may have seen me messing with the villager because it was picking up a workstation that wasn't there. For example, this villager right here, I changed the config to make sure it was working, and now if I place a villager here, it will pick up the florist workstation, although there is no florist workstation here. Nope, you can see it's looking at a block, and it's going to pick up the florist workstation, although there's no flower pot here. So this is definitely something to take note of when changing these values. Definitely don't change them after you have started your survival world. And once again, you can now change them. So florist workstation, flower pot, you have the miner workstation furnace, crafting table, target block, respawn anchor, then also have suspicious sand and conduit. So let's, for example, change the target block to the crafter. So I've now changed the config and reloaded the world, because for this value to take place, you need to reload the game, or if you're on a server, you need to restart the server. And if I place target blocks down, you can see this villager doesn't care about them. And that is because we changed the workstation block to the crafter. So placing the crafter down, that villager should pathfind to it, and you can see it is. And there we go. That is how this works. But once again, this hasn't fully been tested. We've tested it as much as we possibly can. And from the testing, there is some bugs if you do it with a world that's already created. So we have just put the warning there for people who are interested in changing these values. But anyway, that is it for this update video. Once again, this update is to celebrate 500,000 downloads. I think the changes we have made to the book make the book 100 times better. If you find any bugs or have any suggestions for this update, do let us know. It will be available for Forge, Neo Forge, and it'll be available for 1.21.5, 0.6, and also 0.7. But anyway, I'll see you guys in another one very soon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.